All right, we are live. Tapping Birdie, Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Truly, there aren't enough words in the English language to describe our excitement for this week. This is a world class event. This is the Masters. This is the PGA Championship. This is elevated field event. Like, this is everything we want, and it's here this week. And I'm happy to be joined with by Huey Mack, Kyle, the host of Chalk Dirty to Me, my good friend, and we're just gonna chop it up about the best event on tour.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited. It's a fun week if you want to just like pay attention to it and whatnot. Like I'm like you, like it doesn't matter really the week. Like I'm gonna find a way to like get interested, and I think that this little potential tropical storm and addition could add a little fun element to this, at least from a DFS perspective. So I'm excited. Excited about this week. I'm excited to be on the show. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I would say like overall theme about this week is that like if you were like betting this event, if you were like playing DFS heavy, if you were watching this, like you're a degenerate like gambler. Like you are addicted to betting the PGA Tour. And sure. I am. Like I am, you are, like we're all together in this. Like there's nothing wrong. You shouldn't feel bad for like betting this event, for being interested in this event, because this is truly for the sickos. Like you have to be a sicko to like be into this event. And I mean, it's bleak out there. It's a very bleak event, but money spends the same if we were to win a couple lineups hidden out, right? So I'm down. No, it's all good with me.
Of course, I like to look at it more like, Jordan said, it's a competition problem. Just love competing against the boys,
Exactly.
So just excited to compete this week. Yeah, and it's a week that I think you just kind of take what's given to you to a certain extent. There's you can run your models, this, that, and the other thing, and you're gonna have probably the guys in the 10K spit out as your top guys that model out, but I don't in terms of and prices in terms of what you're betting. I don't necessarily think that this is a week that you want to rush to bet your guys who are modeling out well, because I don't think there's a lot of value there. I don't think anybody in this field has a ton of win equity, and I think because of that, like I was telling you before the show, I'm willing to start kind of like more down the board with the betting card, and I'm in terms of DFS, I'm going to wait to see where ownership goes, and I'll probably, look to go elsewhere for the most part. Take what's given to me, just because I don't think there's a, ROM or anybody like that in this field at all. So that's kind of my take on this week. And I'm excited. I'm excited to kind of look at the board with you.
Yeah, so before we go any further, we're obviously presented by BetSperts. They're a great sponsor. They're great. Got to shout them out. So sign up, access to all our betting cards, PGA Splits tournament model, value plays, round by round showdown articles. So everything, $1 a month. Go sign up. They're a great sponsor. They're the reason we're doing this pod right now. So got to shout them out. But we had the CJ Cup last week. Rory won, just a quick victory lap for those who listened. Look, I really went out on a limb. I thought Rory was a good play. I thought he was a good play, and he won. So that, deserves some applause, because it's hard to do. It's hard to predict something like that. So to see Rory come out with a W, I mean, these fucking Fazio courses, man, he just eats them up.
And I want to give you a shout out. I pulled your lineup up because it was such a good lineup, and I think it's such a funny story. Rory, Cam Young, Montgomery, Horschel, Weiss, Hodges. And that was a fucking great lineup. One of the only lineups you played last week, right?
The only lineup.
The only lineup you played last week. That was a fucking incredible lineup. And I was telling you, I played 50 last week. It was better than any of the 50 I played. So incredible, build there. And I like we were talking about before, the Rory Hodges just opened the rest up for you, and you could kind of do whatever you wanted.
It's just like Rory and Lee are just so like they just vibe together. They are just like a very similar type player that like when I played them together, it just kind of opened up the world. Like it
Yeah.
just kind of opened up everything for me, and I just saw the board and everything so clearly. But it was a great event. I genuinely think like I'm a little upset I didn't just throw all my outright money on Rory, but like, whatever. Hindsight's 2020. But there is something to be said that he literally just wins every time he steps on a Fazio. And it's just like insane. Like it's just like truly like he just always wins on Fazios. And he's gonna be 8-1 to win every single event. And it's going to be hard to beat him. And I don't think normally we're that afraid of the favorite, but I just think that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah. And the thing about Rory that, I mean, he's, now he's won a few times in his past few starts. He didn't necessarily get all the wins maybe he should have last year, but like,
yeah,
what I like about betting with a guy and playing a guy in DFS is knowing he'll be there. And he has been there in every single tournament. He has been like literally look at his past like 20 starts. It's crazy. And when it started actually was when we kind of started talking was last year's CJ Cup after the Ryder Cup when he got wiped up. He was crying after the Ryder Cup. And that was when he was 9% owned. Went out and won Fazio course.
It was fucking 18-1 to win a golf tournament.
Yeah. Wins it. And he hasn't looked back. He's been incredible since then. He's been so close. I want him to see. I'm a Rory fan. Like I know some people hate on him or whatever. He's just so talented. I've always said about him, it's shocking he hasn't won more majors just because his game is built for it. Like he hits the ball a mile. He puts it in the fairway. He's great around the greens, and in recent years he's gotten good with his putter. So it's just surprising to me. I hope he gets one more. I'd like to think he would get one more next year. Hopefully at the Masters, but we'll see what happens. I don't want to get too far ahead of myself, but he's playing incredibly. And what's been so impressive about it is some guys have been like hot while he's during this period, like Scheffler got really hot, but then he's cooled off. Like Rory has just been like this level for so long now, which is so impressive.
Yeah. Look, I think I can't dial it back. I think this is the year for Rory to win a major. Just hot take, whatever, like he's not going to win one this year. That's fine. We're going to, if he wins one, like I'm fine with that. He's literally plus 200 to win a major. So like, everyone can victory lap that if he gets one.
Oh, yeah. It's not a controversial thing to say. I'm not like saying this is like, oh, let me go out a limb and say Rory's going to win a major next year.
Yeah.
I just his level's been so.
It's to the point where like it seems like he's got to win one.
Yeah, it's like inevitable, I guess. Like that's more what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yeah. No. Totally. 100%. I wish he was in the field this week, but he's not.
He might be 90% owned if he was in this field.
But we do have the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Only 3 iterations of this event that have taken place before. Brian Gay, Brendan Todd, Lucas Herbert are your 3 winners. All came in with, bad form. Nothing really to write home about. Andy and I were talking in LA. Strokes gained, miscut. Strokes gained, bad form. You almost don't want your guys to be playing too well. That doesn't typically bode well for the winners. But I do remember last year for this event that given that we only had 2 winners and they were Brian Gay and Brendan Todd, that it was short plotters, hit the fairway. Like that is what is important this week. And then Lucas Herbert wins, who is historically an inaccurate driver, more of a bomber of the ball, and he goes out and wins. So I think people have maybe a little bit of a different take on this year. I do think that like any PGA Tour course, if you're longer off the tee, you do hold an advantage here. Even that year that Brian Gay won, it easily could have been Wyndham Clark, and the narrative could have been, maybe Bombers do a little bit better here. But the fact of the matter is that it's a 6,800 yard course, which is extremely short for the PGA Tour. A lot of short par fours, a lot of gettable par fives, maybe one or two long par threes. But for the most part, it is a very short course. But we've seen winning scores of only around minus 15. And that's because there can literally be a fucking hurricane going on, which we will see this week. So what are your overall takes about, the course this week and just this event in general?
So I think my take is I think slightly different, maybe a slightly different iteration of what I've heard. And I agree with you. I think most people have been saying, shorter hitters, it doesn't matter the distance, whatever. And I would totally agree with that if this was a week where it looked like winds were going to be dead. And here's from like a golfer's perspective, right? And I've already heard a lot of people look at like the 150 range bucket, see who gains strokes from there. 150 strokes gained bucket means nothing when there's 20-mile-per-hour winds. You're actually going to be hitting more like a 175, more like a 180 shot. And what does that mean? That means that, like, to your point, more guys who are actually hitting longer, I think will do better if that, these winds we're seeing as of now hold true. And like a good example is like, right, Pebble is a really short course. The year the US Open was there, it was windy as hell. And like Gary Woodland won, who was an absolute bomber of the ball. Like, it's a short course, but he kills the ball. So I don't think I just say all that to not get necessarily wrapped up. I actually think if winds, again, are like 20 miles per hour, and you have a guy who's like hitting the ball 200 yard, like a 280 yard average drive, that's probably like 260. And then he's hitting like a 190 shot with 20 mile per hour winds into his face. You could actually end up not wanting the guys that are, really, really short off the tee. So just like an interesting, I think, thing to think about here. Yes, it's a short course, but again, if the winds are what they're projected to be, that's typically what they do to golf shots. And that's kind of where I'm thinking of it right now.
Yeah, and I also think that this week, more than most weeks, people that are betting this event are like really more going off just gut feel, going off numbers, going off just talent overall. Like Andy and I were talking about, he was saying to me that, like, if you're high on a guy, like if you think someone's talented, if you think they could get a win, if you think they're going to have a good PGA Tour season and they're playing this week, like, you might as well just bet them here. So like overall, just like betting strategy this week, like I initially was like, I'm not going to bet like a favorite. I'm not going to bet someone at the top of the board because I think this week, more than most weeks, it's best to have as many bullets, as many options as possible. I don't think that a lot of people are like, yo, let me bet Danny McCarthy at 18-1. Like, I don't think people are doing that. But I was kind of more wanted to start my car like 30-1 and plus, just because I think the more bullets you have is better because longer shots have done well here. It's a more random event affected by weather. There's no Rory McIlroy or Jon Rahm in the field. So just to start it off, I bet this today. A lot of people were hitting me up to bet this because the number is crazy. And I think if you just look at the DraftKings board, it starts with Thomas Dietrich at 10-5. And if you look and you're trying to get betting numbers, you can bet Thomas Dietrich. This is not some crazy thing or anything. At 30-1 to win this golf tournament on PointsBet. Shout out Paige Sporanic and PointsBet. So, like, when the field came out, I'm looking at it. I'm like, okay, Thomas Dietrich is like probably the best, most consistent player right now in this field. He's had 3 really great results in the swing season and then kind of cooled off a little bit. That's fine. Again, he's not going to be playing the most unbelievable golf, but just a few weeks ago at the Sanderson Farms, 36-hole leader, top 15 finish, could have been a lot better. A talented guy that has played a lot on the DP World Tour, has played on the PGA Tour, and it's a pure number play. He should not be 30-1. The number is simply off. He is, in DraftKings minds, the best player in this field, and you can get him at 30-1. So that's an easy bet for me at 30-1. Like, I don't. Again, the guy has his problems winning, but a lot of people have, and then they've broken through. I think you can't have an easier event to win than this one. So this is again a pure talent number play. Thomas Dietrich 30-1 on points bet. I really like it.
I agree, and it's funny when we were chatting it up before anything came out this week in terms of pricing. We were just looking at the field and kind of joking around. I think both of us were like, Dietrich is the best guy in this field. Like before anything came out in terms of like we didn't know what the numbers were or anything. We just thought he's probably like the best guy. And look, that's like in terms of making a smart bet, that is a smart bet, right? It's a numbers bet. He's like we said, just talking talent, taking numbers or anything out of it. We think he's the best player in the field, and you're getting him at a at points bet 30-1. So it's a great play, a great way to start your card this week. Denny McCarthy, I have nothing against Denny McCarthy. The thing is, like, I just like feel like somebody has to, like, I'm looking at 10-4, 20% ownership Denny McCarthy right now. And if Denny McCarthy goes out at 10-4 and 20% ownership and beats me, like, fine. Like, okay. Like that is more than okay. This guy's been on tour for a long time. He's also had trouble closing. So it's not like, you're necessarily getting less win equity. He's a worse number. He's lower priced on DraftKings. So I totally agree with starting the card with Dietrich. I'll probably join you there. I like this guy, SH Kim. I don't think a lot of people know. Like, I'm big on like where you're buying on guys, when you're buying on guys, and buying on guys maybe before there's a lot of stats out there on them. This guy's young. He's good. He's talented. He had a bad week last week. Yep. He kind of does like everything like well. He's a great putter. He's not like, he's also extremely young. He's like 24, which is something I like. So like, and I say that because like a lot of these guys who are like newer, like on tour, like a Robbie Shelton, right? Like who a lot of people are talking up. This guy's like 28. Like he's been playing golf for a long time. Like what's the likelihood Robbie Shelton ends up being a better golfer than this kid who's 24, SH Kim, who's playing on the same tour as him and already priced up higher than him. So,
and he's had a great swing season. He's had some really good results. So
I like him. Again, from what I've watched from him, I like him. And then I told you Brandon Wu I like. And then in terms of betting, probably like him in DraftKings as well. If we want to get there. And then a lot of people have been talking about Will Gordon. He really pops. Like I did a model I just ran a model. He's 2 in my model. Not that like I could literally toss my model out the window. So like in terms of, I don't rely on it necessarily as heavily as other people do. But I do like he seems to have immense talent. Like he just seems to be a really talented guy. Like Dietrich in terms of hits the ball just really far. And just kind of seems to comes down to like if he's going to be able to not blow up on certain holes. So I also I've been a little bit of a Kevin Yu truther before this week. His ball striking numbers in terms are just like incredible. That doesn't necessarily mean anything because he's not a great putter. But in terms of him being 80-1 and like, again, not really measured, he's like 23 years old as well. So another like younger guy, like not many people know much about, and you're getting him at 80-1. I like that. And then I told you Akshay. It was kind of like a joke, but like also like there's like I have rationale behind it. Like he plays these coastal courses well. He actually played the Pebble Beach Pro-Am a few years ago. Top 20. Very similar kind of course layout and coastal course. So there's rationale to it. But I don't know if I told you this, part of the reason I like him and follow him. The course my dad's a member at, he shot the course record in like some tournament, like when he was like up and coming. And it's just always funny because my dad was like, oh, like this guy's going to be really good. And I was like, I don't know who you're talking about, whatever. And then like one year he was just playing in the Pebble Beach Pro-Am and showed up. So those are kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Akshay? Like, I think that like a lot of people that know golf or like follow the PGA Tour or like maybe are on social media and like watch YouTube videos, like know Akshay. And as soon as they saw him in the field, we're like, okay, like I'm just gonna bet him. this
Yeah,
week because
you know what
he is talented.
You know what his ownership is? Sorry for interrupting you. I just wanted to tell you what his number is so far. I've got him at.
It's got to be high.
What do you think? Do you want to guess or you want me to tell you?
I would say like 12%.
He's at 9 right now. One of the sites I got him at 12. The other one I'm looking at, I got him at like 6.
He'll 1000% be popular. But like you alluded to, like this guy is a very talented player. Like you don't just hit 18 greens at Pebble Beach, like if you're not a talented player. He's won on the Corn Ferry Tour at a coastal resort course with his girlfriend on the bag. I don't think he'll win. Like, I like betting him with an each way, but like, I really do think like if you could get like a juicy top 10 or like a juicy top 20, like I really like that play. I bet him at 250 to 1 with 7 places each way. Like that was just kind of like an easy play for me. But guys you talked about earlier, I'm with you on Brandon Wu. Like I think that like we talked about, I think there are some guys that you just have to bet off like their talent level, like respective to this field. And like Brendan Wu's a guy that has been in contention on PGA Tour events like no less than 6-7 months ago. He was in the mix at the Mexico Open where Rahm won. And he's had some other pretty good results. And again, you're getting 50 to 1 on him, which I think is a pretty good number considering the field. And I also like the fact that he's played this swing season. He's played in the Sanderson, Shriners, and Zozo. Hasn't missed a cut, no unbelievable finish, but played, pretty decent. And again, I think that if the weather is going to be crazy, that he's very long off the tee. He's a decent driver of the ball, and that could be a pretty good advantage. And again, 6th place at the Scottish Open, 8th place at the Wyndham, 2nd place at the Mexico Open. Like, again, there's not that many guys in this field that you can say, have been in contention in PGA Tour events just this year. And we're getting him at 50 to 1. So I like him. DraftKings, top 20, top 10. Outright, I think Brandon Wu is a pretty good play.
Yeah, and this is a totally different course, but like the Scottish Open finish was so impressive. Like that was a tough course. The conditions were incredibly windy, and it was a good comparison in terms of I was telling you before. I think he's a guy that when conditions get a little windier, he's actually going to play better, or he's just going to play better at least relative to the field. So I like him, and I'm probably going to play him in DraftKings as well. He's 8,400. I got him at 11% right now.
Boom. Like staple of your DFS lineups right there.
Yeah. So I mean, I'm gonna wait a little bit to see weather. I think there's 2 types of weather, kind of like this might be a quick little like tangent. Not it'll be quick, it'll be like a minute, but like there's 2 types of like weather kind of like wave advantages that I see formulate. And that's with and without storms. And why that's important to like think about here, like from a DFS perspective, if you're stacking, if there's storms in the forecast, like the players last year, there was this big narrative that this wave was going to have a huge advantage. But like when you looked at the weather, if anything got delayed for like a minute, like they were just like the narrative was wrong. So and I say that because this week, if you look in the forecast, not only is there a lot of wind, a lot of scattered thunderstorms, especially on Friday, so that there's potential if you think there's a wave advantage, Thursday and then or on Friday, that guys might not actually get out that day, and the thing might flip. So could be a week where I do look to, from a DFS perspective, stack a few weather waves. I probably will I always like to do more of the one that people are saying is like the advantage, but I also check that. Like I check that by checking the tee times and aggregating the total ownership for those like tee times. You can actually check to see like, oh, like, look, everybody's playing guys from the AM. And if that's the case, maybe play a few more guys from the PM, but we'll see tomorrow. What kind
are the tee times even out yet?
Yes.
They're out.
Yes.
Okay. Is PGA Tour comms just like not tweeting them? Like regardless, I think weather this week, it's like there's a like literal fucking hurricane like talking about it on Fox News. Like in like it's in my opinion is almost impossible to predict. But I do agree with your idea that like at the players, like something might seem like it's the right advantage, but if the tee times get moved or if it's play is suspended, like that can all flip. But I personally don't even know if they're going to get it in on Sunday. Like I don't know if they're going to be able to get this tournament in 4 days. So in my opinion, like trying to like playing a guy for like betting a guy or like waiting is just kind of tough for me because it's truly so up in the air as to what is going to happen with the weather and how it's going to affect these tee times and these players.
I agree with that from the betting perspective, but I will wait on like I'll put bets in tonight. Like if I think a guy's gonna win, I'm totally with you, right? Like, but if I do end up seeing something or like thinking that people are doing something that I think is wrong, like just like wrong, and that there is an edge from that appears to emerge from that, then I'll go that way. But like, I'm not gonna I'm not gonna force anything this week. I'm gonna kind of play what like ownership tells me. There's nobody I'm looking at this week other than like Denny McCarthy that makes me want to throw up in terms of ownership, like initial projections.
Oh, that's good. That's good. Like that is, it's a very playable DFS week that no one is going to be extremely high owned except for Akshay.
Yeah, he is Caleb Tarrant's like 15% right now, but like I'm like I'll rather cut my eyeballs out than to play him at 15%, in this field anyway. So there's just look at like that's like a glaring like, okay, this guy's 15%. Eric Van Rooyen, who I actually like this week at 8,000 is half his ownership. I feel like he models out well for me. He hasn't played in a while, so I feel like that's
he's a DP World Tour guy now.
Yeah,
he's been ripping it on the DP World Tour.
Yeah, he had like one good finish in his last 3 starts. That's enough. Sold. All right. Sign me up. Again, like it's not a week where I'm that worried about like I'm picking guys who I think are talented, and Van Rooyen has a lot of really good finishes in his career. He's also a guy that'll win you or lose you a GPP real quick, which is what I like. Put me out or put me out of my misery or give me something to hold on to. He's that type of guy. So I kind of like him as well. What about, have you looked at the board a lot from a DFS perspective? Like who have you any early leans from a DFS perspective yet from you? Or
like, I mean, I usually play like the same guys that like I'm betting and that like I like. But it's pretty easy to build like Dietrich, Patia. Like those are my first 2 in, like, and then I can kind of play like Woo and Will Gordon and like maybe like some EVR, but Will Gordon like that will
keep that on the DL, dude.
I mean that's a winning lineup. We've been cashing, we've been doing well. But yeah, no, that's the build for me, at least.
And haters gonna hate, but that's 27% ownership, 28% ownership between Dietrich and Akshay. I'm saying,
that's fine. We're like Akshay has the potential to be the nuts play. Like you know me, Kyle. Like I'm not a huge chalk. I'm not a huge like leverage guy. Not huge on the whole leverage thing. I like to play my guys. Ownerships, whatever. Like. Yeah, I'll play Akshay at 10%. Like I'm down. Like, and there's only this is where you got to factor this into your models. Like, there's only so much content out. So like people listening to TIB, like I think we could see a 1 or 2% bump from TIB for Akshay's ownership this week. Like this is what I'm projecting personally is that. Akshay could be getting some steam because there's just little content out there. And when you get a guy that hit all 18 greens in reg at Pebble Beach at, 6,300, I mean, it's just hard to pass up in my opinion.
Yeah, and there's other guys around him. Like I'm gonna like do my normal like 50 to 100 lineups this week. It just depends on how much time I have. It's probably looking more closer to the 50 side this week than the 100. But we'll still put probably at least 50. And there's other guys down there I like as total punts, and I like just not afraid to play like really anybody this week, just because I think like the talent is so like close. Like the delta this week is like so much closer than it is most other weeks in terms of like the field. Like I really think like anybody, especially with this weather shit that's going on, could win this tournament, just depending on if they like, get a lucky side of the draw or whatever it is. Wes Bryant, he's a little sneaky 6,200 play.
Always Wes Bryant, man.
Wes Bryant in the wind on a coastal course.
Get him some wedges. Like,
oh my God. Nobody's going to play him. So, 1.17% ownership. He actually models out 32nd for me, which relative to his price is incredibly good. He's a good punt as well. But like, yeah, look, I'm with you. And in the fall, like you can play so much more chalk. I've tried to get this point across. Like the competitions are so much smaller. Like you're trying to win than they are in the spring. Like everything's cut in half. Like, and why that's important is if you're going against less people, you can take on more chalk because you're not going to be as likely to be duped because there's less people playing. So this is the time. Like if you have conviction with a guy, you think he's worth it, fuck it, play him. Like anything under 10%, I'm probably playing him. Upwards of that, I'll probably just, have to make a consideration. I also am of the thinking that a lot of times the 6K guys, when they're like, and there's going to be people, is he 10 times more likely to beat? No, he's probably fucking not 10 times more likely to beat a lot of people around there, but he's also fucking nobody knows what this guy is. So he could actually be not only likely to beat like these guys around him, but be the nut to play. So that's where in this, I guess what I was trying to get at there is I'm actually more willing to play a lower 6K guy that's unmeasured, maybe that's getting a little chalker, that's a misprice. If he's under 10%, in your total lineup ownership, it's not that big of a deal. Like people go crazy. Like this guy's 10. Oh, he's not 10 times more likely. It's like, yeah, he's not, but that doesn't mean he's not a good play. There's reason people are clicking his name.
100%. I think the general public in general, is just more equipped to play better plays and know what they're talking about and listen to better information. And, just in football, this week, the winning Millie Maker lineup in NFL DFS had its highest cumulative ownership since week 1 of 2019. That's just crazy. And I just think that, again, something I'm always big on is just play who you like. Don't play someone you think is a good play just because they were high owned and you don't think that they're, a leverage spot. So, that's the overall theme of TIB normally. But a 6K punt I like, and I'm gonna have to shout out my friend PGA Tout on this one. He bet Chad Ramey at 400 to 1.
Love it.
At the Shriners, I think. And he was just like, yo, why is Chad Ramey 400 to 1? This guy's a PGA Tour winner. And then he goes out and finishes 28th. And then he comes in dead last at the Zozo. But that's better form than he was in for 2 months where he missed 8 straight cuts. And I'm not exaggerating. He actually missed 8 straight cuts. Winner in Punta Cana at a coastal resort course. So slower greens. Chad Ramey, $6,900. He's in the pool. He's in the player pool. I think Chad Ramey could have a good week. A little bit of a bomber of the ball. But yeah, I like Chad Ramey. Shout out PGA Tout this week for a nice 6K punt. Maybe, little Akshay Chad Ramey D trade. Got a lot of money left over there, maybe a little SH Kim. Ooh. And Eckroat, I'm not really sure, maybe EVR as a nice leverage spot. But yeah, I like I like a little Chad Ramey, Batia just to start and just get things going up top and leave you with some spots.
Yeah, I'll give you a few other names just because we're here, we're doing this. I think if Nick Hardy at 9,800 is 10% owned, I think that's a great play.
You like Hardy. You like Hardy this week.
I like him at that number. I like him at that price, and I like him at that ownership, if that makes sense. He to me, I think has a lot of upside. He's like priced like I mean, is Justin Lauer better than him? Probably not. But Justin Lauer's playing really well. Like I get why he's 9,900. I just think that he's a guy who's like he's played like real. He's had a lot of like really good finishes lately. He models out well for me. He like tends to like kind of get like he has like this. He gets up and down from a lot of places, which I like, and he can get hot with his putter, which people love putting week. Like every week's a putting week, but so yeah, I like Hardy at that price, that number. I think Steven Yeager is a way better play than at 9,300 is a way better play than Denny McCarthy at 10-4. So you're getting Steven Yeager at half the ownership, and I think they're very similar player, and it's just like a numbers play for me. Knox is a guy who plays incredibly well in the wind. He's low price. I don't like him as my like number one guy in my lineup, but at 9,200, 12% ownership, guy who plays well in the wind. He's finished well here. He's finished 12th, 16th, 11th in 3 starts. He's played well at Pebble, another comp course. He's a guy who plays these like resorty types of courses well. Could see him being a good play. Hope nobody takes that advice. Yeah, I like Will Gordon. He's sub 10 right now.
I bet Will Gordon outright. I got a 60-1 on him. Again, just a pure playing well at the moment, like 60-1.
I like
in
that,
shit
dude.
field.
I think it's a great.
I'm down. Like this guy was first round leader like 3 weeks ago at the Sanderson Farms. He obviously has talent in him. Pretty long off the tee. Almost won the Travelers like 2 years ago. Like, yeah, 60-1. Like, I'm down on Will Gordon. Like, he's in the player pool.
Yeah, I'm trying to see if any other guys like the 8K range is nice, dude. I mean, like
I like Hardy though. You kind of sold me on Hardy looking at his numbers. Like, I think Hardy's a good play. Like,
yeah, if he comes in like that, I'll play him. I mean, there's a lot of guys like Shank. I mean, is popping lately. Everybody's been talking about him though, and I could see him just like getting to. But like he's only I only got him at 12% ownership right now, so it's like not like fat, like you know what I mean. Like that doesn't necessarily terrify me, but like. He's pop like I mean he models out well. He's playing well. He should play this type of course well. If you don't want to like overthink it, like he seems to be a guy that should play well here. I think this kid, Smotherman. I'm always on him. I feel like he always models out well. He always like seems to make the cut. Like he doesn't. He also like he's a Pebble guy. He played Pebble really well in 1 year like last year. I think he's actually from California. His dad has a connection there, some bullshit, but he's good. Zheng Do, I think this guy is immensely talented, so I'll probably buy on him if his ownership doesn't get out of control. Duncan always models out well, but like he's Tyler fucking Duncan.
Yeah, that's kind of tough there.
Yu is popping in my model, and he's only getting 7% ownership as a DFS play. I like that. Ben Griffin is only showing 7.6 ownership right now, but Andy had him as number one in his model, and I have a feeling that that's probably going to juice things a little higher there.
Yeah, everyone's on Ben Griffin this week.
He pops in my model too. He's 10th in my model. So
Ben Griffin is popping. He's going to be a play. Like people are going to take notice of Ben Griffin this week.
It's not a whole lot of deep where he's popping. That's where people need to get careful with him because
like everyone that like I'm looking at like on Fantasy National, like there's just like not a lot of data. Like normally you're like looking at people and you're like, okay, like his last 10 starts, like he's done this, and it's just like for most of these guys, like they're coming from the Corn Ferry, and it's just like they have like 3 starts max, and then it's just like no data from the Corn Ferry, and they're like even looking at that is kind of like a fool's errand. So it's just kind of tough. this week because there's just not that much data available. And that's why I think that most people should just bet who they want, bet who they like, bet who they are high on, bet who they think is a good number, and, maybe walk away with a winner. But I personally believe that picking a winner this week is harder and more improbable than your regular PGA Tour event. Now,
totally agree.
Like, now, did I take this advice? Normally that would mean, okay, like maybe like bet a little bit less or like not. But no, I didn't do that. We up right now. Like, but we got money.
You're doing it in a smart way. And we talked about this because you are like, yes, you're probably, making a bunch of bets this week, but like, yes, it's harder to predict. But because it's harder to predict, the odds are going to reflect that, and you're going to be able to build a card where you could have a lot of guys in it at some crazy numbers at the end of the day. So I like what you do. I like what you're doing. I like the strategy you're putting in.
Like I'm not, because like just in case like I hit a winner, I don't want to do like less than what like I normally would. But yeah, like I'm not going heavy in placements or anything this week. Like I'm just betting a normal outright card. And yeah, Andy's a loyal listener, and he knows when something's a little bit different. So he knows that, the saturation in Zoom is a little bit different, on TIB this week. And that's what you get when you're a loyal listener to the show. But yeah, I'm looking at some of the bets I made. I'm like, okay, like I actually can't believe I'm wagering this much money on the Butterfield Bermuda Championship. Like all four, like I don't know, some random ass name to win. But we're gonna vibe with it, and it's still a week that we can make money. So why not? Let's just do it.
I think I'm going to throw first round leader bets in this week too, because I'm of the same consciousness in terms of like
there are levels to there are levels to betting this event. Like betting wave splits first round leaders is like the peak degeneracy of golf betting.
But I think you're getting you're going to get some crazy numbers again. And like, it's honestly easier to like hold a lead after like, whatever first round than it is 4 tournaments in terms of some of these guys you get at, over 100 to 1. So and if there's a wave advantage where one wave's going to get decimated, then you're actually betting half the field potentially to see who scores the best out of that half of the field for that day. So
no, I love first round leaders. I
agree. It's the level of degeneracy for that. Like to do it at the Bermuda, like I don't even know the tournament. The Butterfield Bermuda, like, yeah, we've already said it though. We're in. Like we're in this week.
If we weren't up right now, like we would not be in. But like we have some money to spend, so why not? But I think we gave out enough winners. I think we gave out enough great DFS plays. We don't want to bump anyone's ownership too up. But something I sent to you that I tweeted out, and again, I'm an honest person, so I admitted that I saw this on Instagram. I did not invent this question. But the question is would you rather play a solo round at Augusta National or play your local Muni with Tiger Woods? Now, the local Muni, it's an average course. It's not a Torrey Pines, Bethpage Black, Pebble Beach. Like, it is your average fucking course with slow ass greens, and like, it's not a nice course. The point is you're playing a shitty course with the greatest golfer of all time. Now, I gave my answer or whatever, I alluded to it. I want to know your opinion on this, of what you would rather do. Play Augusta alone or a round with Tiger Woods at your local Muni. So what is your answer on this?
So to me, it's like, this isn't even like it shouldn't even be a decision. If you're a true golf fan, in my opinion, again, some people might think this is terribly controversial. It's play around with Tiger Woods. It's like at the local Muni. Every single player on the PGA Tour that you hear talk nowadays, Scottie Scheffler is out there as the world number 1 up until this week, wearing Tiger Woods' logo on his back. Like, he is a icon, like a god. I had a buddy who was at Augusta last year, and he was joking around because he was like, it was like a circle jerk, like of 40-year-old men like watching Tiger chip around the green at a practice round at Augusta. The stories he could tell you, I'm sure, are incredible. Advice he could give you, he'd probably make you a better player than if you went out at Augusta, because he'd give you some advice. Look, I get Augusta. It's a magical place. It's incredible. I think there's other opportunities to get there, maybe not play there. To me, I just think Tiger Woods he's inspired generations. He's made golf honestly into what it is today, and to not like want a part of that or be able to play with him, the literal greatest, like most inspirational golfer of all time. Like, it just seems like it would be a crazy thing to pass up.
I understand, and I understand where everyone is coming from on the other way. I personally, gut instinct, would rather play Augusta alone than that. I think I value a little bit more like playing like the greatest, most famous, most iconic, most exclusive course of all time over like playing a random round with the greatest golfer of all time. I think that every single year being able to watch the Masters and be like, I played this course, which legitimately, like, so little amount of people can say that they have played Augusta. It's like probably the hardest round in the world to play on. And I'm not saying this is the same thing, and it's really not, but I think it's like, if you genuinely had enough money, like, and you don't have to be the richest man in the world, like, you could be like, okay, I'm going to the US Open or PGA Championship this year, and I'm following around like with Tiger. And like, you would basically, again, it would not be the same, but you would be seeing Tiger hit his driver, hit his iron shot, like putt, like many thousands of millions of people have seen Tiger up close play golf. So I feel like what you're really getting is just like conversation and like maybe like some tips. And like, I think the real debate of the question is like, how willing is Tiger to, like, is he going to be your best fucking friend in the world? Or are you guys just like playing? Like, I think that matters because you're paying for the experience. Like, you're playing for, like, is this guy going to be my best friend and give me swing tips and tell me stories? Because that is really, I think, the X factor for me.
Yeah, I look, so there's two things to my defense, I guess, of not wanting to look. I would fucking obviously play Augusta by myself. I am pretty competitive, and I don't like playing by myself because, like, if I'm playing bad, then like I have nothing else to focus on other than the fact that I'm playing like shit, and there's nobody to like bounce, like deflect that to. And Augusta would probably chew me up and spit me out. But like, I think I'd like to think I could put that aside. Like, if I was playing Augusta National at the same time. And then two, I'm probably one of the few people that actually enjoy watching golf more than I like playing it. And I'm just like a total stats nerd. And like, golf to me is just like, when I have like, there's nothing like majors for golf. And I'm sure like a lot of people are like this, but like, there's nothing I would rather do than on a Sunday, like at Augusta, like sit on my couch. Like this, like some people might think this is crazy, from like the time that they put the coverage on till the time the leaders finish. Like, I just like love it. I eat it up. I especially like the big events, like the Bermuda. So those are the two things, I guess, that would I guess be slightly to the defense. But like, you can't go really wrong with either one.
Can't go wrong, and no one will have really the opportunity to do either. Because like, I genuinely don't know like how you even play around at Augusta. Like, Andy could fact check me on this, but like, it has to be the hardest club to play around on.
It's up there. It's definitely one of, if not the hardest.
It has to be the hardest. Like,
there's a few other courses like 2 or 3 that I know that are like very difficult, I believe, as well. But like, I would think Augusta's even harder. Like, I'm not putting, I don't know which of the like few like are more or less, but Yeah, I mean, you know what's funny though? Like, so like I've heard like a few stories. Like one of the best like golf stories I've ever heard that like I don't think is like a known golf story came from somebody that like played around with Graham McDowell, which I thought was like so funny. Like they were like one of my dad's friends played around with like Graham McDowell, just ended up getting paired with him at some like pro like I don't know some like work like type of thing where he was there, he was a sponsor, or whatever. Um, and he told this story and like I looked it up after like which is kind of crazy because I didn't even realize this, but he told this story to like this my dad or my dad's friend that he the guy relayed along to us. And Graham, like they asked Graham McDowell, they're like, what's like a cool story like that nobody else really knows like about you like in your golf career like and all that stuff. So he was in a playoff maybe at the Bridgestone. I want to say like the Firestone. I could be wrong, but whatever event it was, he was in a playoff with Tiger Woods. And Steve Williams was Tiger Woods' caddy at the time. And Steve Williams used to always take his bib off when he thought the tournament was over, in terms of he thought like Tiger was going to win. So he would take his bib off. And it was almost a sign of disrespect because the guys were like, there were still other guys playing. You know what I mean? But like he was doing it to send a message that like Tiger has already won this. So I guess Tiger like hits a shot to like 15 feet or whatever. Graham McDowell ends up being like 80 feet away on the green, and Steve Williams is taking his bib off, and Tiger's got a 15-footer for birdie. Looks like Graham McDowell's going to have a tough time two putting. McDowell and like I watched the video after. It's actually crazy. McDowell sinks the putt from like 80 feet, like to put the pressure on. And he walks up to Stevie Williams and he says, "Put your fucking bib back on, Stevie." Like
That's great.
I just feel like there's so many like stories like that Tiger could tell, like or like a golfer could tell that like nobody even knows about, because they like wouldn't necessarily disclose it in a public setting. So I'd love to pick like a guy like that's mind who probably has more knowledge about the sport I love the most than any human being on the face of the earth.
No, totally. It's great debate. I appreciate the people like Jeff Feinberg that are just like, I would rather like people are like, I'd rather like go to the snack bar with Tiger than play Augusta. It's like, all right, like that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like I understand people are like in love with Tiger. Like I understand that. Like I'm not the biggest like, because I'm like younger and I wasn't like my age. I'm sure if I was my age in 2002, 2003, I would have a completely different answer, but I wasn't. But yeah, I think it's a great question. Again, since I'm an honest person, I did not pretend like I made this up, but I saw it on Instagram and thought that I had a pretty good golf following to answer that question. But before we go, major winner predictions for each of the four majors.
Wow, I love that I was
this
actually
year.
I was gonna like ask you before if you wanted to like talk about that, and then like I didn't because I was like, like maybe it's too early or whatever. So I actually haven't looked too much into like whereas I knew a lot about the courses last year, particularly Brookline, because it's a course that my dad has been to for the Ryder Cup. When they held it there, my dad's a Massachusetts guy. He's played the course. So like, I knew like how that maybe more details about that course. But I think going off of what I know, I'm going to say Rory wins the Masters. I don't think that's that controversial.
Okay. You could get him at 11-1 on Bet Rivers right now. I don't think that number is getting any fucking better.
Yeah, I agree. It probably is. It's probably getting worse, honestly.
Like, if you want to bet Roy to win the Masters, like, just bet it now at 11-1 and just be like, whatever.
Yeah.
And, like, parlay it with, like, the Bills to win this Sunday or something.
Now I'll get a little more creative. Like, I won't be that, like, I guess, like top heavy, I guess, maybe. I think a guy, like, a lot of people might go crazy. Like, I mean, I don't know, whatever. But like a lot of people have been saying like Tom Kim's going to win the Masters or I actually think he could be a great fit for a U.S. Open. And again, I don't know much about the U.S. Open. I think it's LA Country Club.
I think LACC is like pretty long. I'm not 100%.
So like why I don't care about that for him is if they grow up the rough or whatever, he is so accurate off the tee. He's never playing from the rough. And his long, like a lot of people are like, oh, like you might not drive the ball that far. He hits his long irons so well, it almost makes up for that. Like, so I like him as like a stretch reach, like more controversial winner of the US Open.
PGA at Oak Hill. You got
PGA at Oak Hill. So this is a course I actually don't like know all that much about, but from what I do know, I think it's kind of it's gonna like it's got to be. I don't think it's gonna be a high winning score. Like it's gonna be a low. Not excuse me. I think it's gonna be like a -6 winning score, maybe lower than that. I know Andy likes Rory. I think at the PGA. I think Scheffler could be an interesting play.
okay, all right.
Yeah.
And then Open Championship at Royal Liverpool.
Ooh, Open Championship at Royal.
Last time it was there, Rory won. So
okay, so like shorter hitters should do well there,
and non-American because non-Americans never win the Open.
Yeah, this is like a more value play, and I play this guy a lot actually, especially overseas. I think Hatton's an incredible links golfer, and he's a punt of a. He's a nice.
Yeah, he's not winning a fucking major, mate. He's not winning a fucking major.
He's a good bet though, probably if you can get him at a good number.
All right,
I mean, I didn't want to go out like. What do you want me to do?
No, that's fine. No,
like
it's totally fine. I got my 4 right now.
All right,
I got my 4 right now. Okay. So, Masters, I'm doing this every year. Absolutely dreadful number, and I do not want to throw $500 on it. But Cam Smith is winning the Masters. He's going to win a Masters, so like we want him as close to his PGA Tour career as possible. So Cam Smith is winning the Masters. Now, PGA Championship at Oak Hill. Someone that I've shit on immensely, and I said I wouldn't do this. But I think Cantlay, East Coast, bent grass greens, has to win a major, too talented. I really like Cantlay at Oak Hill. U.S. Open, this is the biggest lock in the world. Will Zalatoris. Will Zalatoris is winning the U.S. Open. That is an absolute guarantee. I've never been more sure about something in my life than Will Zalatoris winning the U.S. Open. Honestly, could pick him for every major, but I won't. But yeah, Will Zalatoris, U.S. Open. I think he needs a little bit of time to recover. He just plays amazing in majors and the hard conditions. Will Zalatoris, U.S. Open. And then Royal Portrush, I mean, that is the one that I truly have no fucking clue. And that's not one that I'm going to be like, yo, like, I have no fucking clue who's going to win. But we'll go Cam Young.
All right. I like it.
So those are our major picks. They won't change. But those are like my...
Zalatoris also is a baller in Augusta. Like he's been killing. But like to your point, we haven't seen him yet, so it's good. He'll
point. Be okay by then. But yeah, most likely, like I'll fucking put out the card right now. Masters 2023 card. Cam Smith. He'll drift. I'll say like 18-1. Will Zalatoris like 25-1. Like that is going to be my Masters card for the next 3 years. And like that's not bullshit. Like that is truly like what I'm down for and like what I think is one of them is going to win the Masters in the next 4 years.
I totally agree. I mean, I think if you make that bet 4 years in a row, it's going to return profits. Like one of those guys is winning a green jacket.
But it is crazy just looking.
I'm a huge, by the way, and I can't say I think he's going to win I actually thought he was going to win at Brookline, and he finished like 5th, and he had a quote unquote bad year.
Morikawa.
I'm a huge Morikawa guy. He's just like he's not on right now. I'll tell you right now, he's not. But when he's on, man, he is another guy whose game's just like put the ball in the fairway, and I'm gonna put my ball closer to the pin than everybody else when he's again. But like he hasn't been that way in a little while, so I'd like to see him. But you could probably get him at like a good value. I think Hovland is like so close. He's so close.
Erroneous on both counts.
He could be an Open guy though.
He's not winning a major.
Well, what about the Open? Like a bomb and gas?
If he can win like a real PGA Tour event, like that'd be dope. Like,
yeah, he won.
Like let's do that before he's gonna win
at the Open last year, right?
Okay, that's fine. But like, I would like to see him win at Bay Hill, Wells Fargo.
He hasn't.
He needs a big win, and like,
there's a lot of people I'm like, oh, like his stats say this, whatever. Like I'll still play him. Like his around the green game actually terrifies me. Like he's gotten better with his putter, but he struggles around the green.
Yeah. Do you think Will Zalatoris will be better or worse than 22-1 to win the Masters?
Is that what he's doing now?
His best number right now is 22-1. Do you think he will be better or worse come April?
I mean, like I would say probably worse, but like I don't know. I mean, if he comes back and he starts playing, like if we're of the opinion that he's going to be fine when he comes back, then I would be of the opinion that number is probably going to go like get worse. Like if we see him play before the Masters and we think he's going to be relevant by the Masters, then like most likely that number will be like worse, probably like 18-1 or whatever. But like I mean.
I'm like very tempted to like throw 500 on Zal right now, 22-1. But like my thing about it is that like you might as well wait, because if the number gets better, like are you sure? No, like if the number gets better, like are you sure you're like gonna wanna even bet it? Like if he's like genuinely not the same after this injury, and he's like 28-1, then like it's probably not worth having that money tied up. But he's probably gonna win Tour this year.
Yeah, like dude, he's so good. He puts himself in like that's part of it's the same. I mean, it's stupid to say it's the same thing with DFS. So like, but like Zalatoris puts himself in like he knocks on the door sometime. He's got to take down a GPP soon. You think, right? Like Will Z.
Yeah, well, he did. Thank God.
No, I know. I'm just joking around. I mean, like, I think he's going to win a major, I guess is my point. He's just been, like, so close in so many majors. Like, he's right there every single major, it seems like. Yeah. And he just, like, finds a way.
And he, like, has a new caddy and he got his win. So,
yeah.
I mean, he did make a deal with the devil to win. But it's fine. It's okay. He's going to be fine, but I do miss him. And I hope he's well. But great pod tonight. Looking forward to this event, I guess. Like let's play head-to-head for $100 this week. Use our information against each other. I'll send you the request. But everyone follow Kyle on Twitter. Everyone check out his pod, and we'll see you next week for the Mayakoba.
Good luck.